Welcome. I hope you enjoy the conversation you're about to see between me and another comedian about religion and comedy. These are conversations I'm calling Disorganized Religion. God bless. And for those atheists out there, may nothing await you after this life.
All right, here we go. I think we're in.
Oh, I like how Zoom gives me the option of leaving the meeting because it's being recorded.
Oh, is that a thing?
I thought about it.
Wow,
I saw it.
you
and
almost left.
I was like, what the fuck is Seth trying to pull here?
Josh almost took off. Let's see if that helps or not. I don't know.
Warm
All
light.
right.
You're in a cool
Warm
room.
light. Warm light. We're trying to look a little less
You not
ghostish.
show off with these diplomas, with all your wife's diplomas behind you.
My wife, get out of here. You can.
All your wife's accolades.
Do I need to move the screen so you believe me? Look at that. Boom.
There's
That's T. Lawrence there.
There's quite a lot of degrees you need to get to become a nanny.
Look at that, man. Yeah, they're up in the requirements for childcare.
Are those all your stay-at-home dad?
Boom. I don't know if you noticed I'm the best comedian, but I am.
Fuck. I don't have my mug in here right now. I was drinking out of my. So you're actually the third podcast I'm doing today.
Wow. This has been packed for you today, huh?
Well, the first one technically wasn't a podcast. The first one was a Q&A for the film, which is why I had the film background loaded.
Yeah, it looks great.
That I did this morning, which is like essentially what a podcast is today. It was a Zoom call with the festival that we're in.
Yeah. So you're in another festival.
About my genius. Yeah, we're over 20 now.
Wow, good for you. That's awesome. That is awesome. Before we go any farther, since it's not an actual distance, before we get any further into this conversation, welcome to Disorganized Religion. I am Seth Lawrence, the host as always, and I am joined by our second-time guest, a fantastic comedian, the director of a beautiful documentary called Mentally Al, the one, the only, the mighty Josh Edelman.
I'm the first repeat guest.
First repeat guest, my man.
And only as I should be, as you were the first repeat guest on Quarantine.
I figured it was only cordial to make the offer mutual.
Well, it's good to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us.
I was thinking about religion. Actually, earlier today.
Yeah, I want to talk about how, if your beliefs at all have changed over quarantine. But what were you thinking about with religion?
Well, I was just thinking, people, going down this road early on with you always feels like a mistake. But I was thinking about how like people are like, how could religious people like Trump? But then I was like, it totally makes sense to me that religious people like Trump, because religious people like choose to blindly have faith in something absurd with no logic. And that's what liking Trump is. It's like Trump says hydrochloroquine and you're like, yeah, all the scientists say no, but I choose to believe that. That's religious mentality. That's religion.
It is and it isn't. I think the real religious people don't support Donald Trump because they think he's religious or they think he's some higher moral authority. That's mostly why people believe in God. It's not just baseless fantasy belief. It's a hope. It's a hope in something better.
It's like a moral authority for like people that like aren't able to do morals without it.
I mean, I obviously disagree, but I
would definitely won't go as far as to say I'm the best person I know, but I'm one of the better people I know.
Yes.
And
but you were raised Jewish, and don't you not harbor any Jewish theological belief anymore?
No, it is true. I do think about Judaism a decent amount. I think of religions, Judaism's one of the better ones.
What makes it the better ones? Because there's no hell?
Well, that helps. You know, it's like how much of like some of these religions is like acting out of this fear of this thing, but this like irrationally following these rules to a T and not believing in any amount of like knowing what right and wrong is, but like out of this pure fear of this thing, as opposed to promoting being good for the sake of being good.
Yeah.
But
I think most religions, when practiced, preached correctly, focus on it's always better to be good for the sake of being good rather than doing a good or right thing and bemoaning it or begrudging it the entire time.
But I've always appreciated that there's a big aspect in Judaism of asking questions, of legitimately questioning the religion. And on Passover, like the centerpiece of the whole Seder is the 4 questions. That's like the big one where like the kid asks the questions about what's the point of all this.
Right.
I mean, it's all written, so people follow script. But
generally,
it promotes questioning. I mean, like, I think I talked about this on the first time I was on when I was in Hebrew school. One of the things we did for my like Jewish confirmation, this is like post bar mitzvah, was our rabbi took us to like get spoken to by multiple different priests and a Buddhist priest or whatever that would be called.
Like an imam. That's not Buddhism, but
but like a bunch of different religions telling us about their religion, and honestly kind of trying to hard sell it to us. But you can't hard sell the best hard sellers in the biz.
Yeah, of course not. Right.
Can't bullshit a bullshit. Although I was very attracted to Buddhism.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's not a hell in Buddhism either, right?
I don't know.
Don't they believe in reincarnation? Do you not remember?
Which is also interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I believe in reincarnation. I think resurrection is a type of reincarnation, right?
Well,
the most perfect kind.
Resurrection.
Because it's true. What?
See, part of me wanted, like, I've read things about people claiming that Trump is like the second coming of Christ. And I'm like, but you say no, but I'm like, yeah, but if somebody died and then came out of the ground, that's like very, Pet Cemetery, and Trump is kind of like Pet Cemetery Jesus.
I mean,
he's like, what if Jesus were evil?
Right. That would be Satan. So
that would be
we sort of have that already. That would be Lucifer.
The resurrection, people, you hear resurrection, you think, oh, he's going to come back, he's going to be this good guy. No, he's going to come back, he's going to be a monster. He died. He's
That's awful. Well, I mean, my second coming of Jesus is your first coming of Jesus. Right?
I thought one of the points of Jesus was that he didn't come.
What are you talking about?
No, but wait.
You're making a sexual joke right now?
Yeah. Was Jesus, but like according to the Bible, I've never read that nonsense. But according to
New Testament part, you've read the Torah part.
That part's great.
Yeah, we share that in common. Sure. It's fantastic.
But no. But Jesus hasn't been resurrected yet.
According to truth, he has.
He has.
Yes, that's what we believe.
What's the story of the resurrection?
Okay.
Where was he? What happened?
Over the 3 days that he was gone?
He was only gone for 3 days, and he came back?
Correct.
And then what did he do?
During the 3 days? About this. During the 3 days or after the 3 days? So the New Testament covers a few appearances that he has back in Jerusalem, in the old country, where he comes back. He first appears to Martha in the garden, and she has gone to visit his tomb. She is the first, or Mary, sorry, I said Martha. Mary is the first to go back and sees that the stone has been rolled away from his tomb.
Mother or the prostitute?
Potentially the prostitute. Okay. It's not the mother. It's not the mother Mary. It is the supposed prostitute Mary. I don't know that they ever prove that it's the same person, but I think traditional thought is that it is the same person.
The mom is also the prostitute?
No. They're both named Mary, but the Mary that comes back to the tomb
I was going to
is the
say,
prostitute
if the
Mary.
Virgin Mary was also the prostitute Mary, maybe it's not no longer so suspicious.
Suddenly you're on board.
How this baby happened.
Terrible. No, those are different people. So
And then that creates a whole Oedipal element to everything.
Yeah. Then you get real complicated.
The guy couldn't come up with 2 names?
Well, no, I mean, there are a few female names in the New Testament.
Was that like just some of the sexism of like
I
Babylon
think,
at that time?
It was just
like
just
every girl's like, you're Mary.
Right. Well, Mary was the
Peter's,
Karen.
We got Paul's, we got Joseph's.
Yeah.
And every girl walking around is just Mary.
Well, it's like today, Karen. It's a substitute for every woman that fits a certain type. So Mary was that. Mary
seems to be this wide variety of both person who gets pregnant without having sex.
Sure.
And then person who doesn't get pregnant while having the most sex.
Well, I mean, perhaps so. But, so there's some theologians or some biblical scholars that think Jesus was married to Mary, the prostitute Mary.
Some theologians say they were married. Well, that's the whole thing that almost got Scorsese canceled.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're a huge fan of Scorsese.
I think that movie is brilliant.
I watched it for Ryan and Jordan's podcast, the cable show. I'd never seen it before. It's a fantastic film, and I think all of
it blasphemous.
So that was on first like when I first watched it. After ruminating on it, I decided that it was not blasphemous. But at first go, that was my initial knee-jerk reaction was, wow, this is kind of blasphemous. But the way I took what Scorsese was doing in that end was Jesus had a full life in his mind and still went through with the sacrifice.
To me, I mean, you almost get at what I think makes the movie so brilliant and so much more powerful than like Mel Gibson's,
passion,
torture porn Jesus.
The very Catholic Jesus.
But that the whole point is, it's like, what is martyring yourself? Martyring yourself is sacrificing the full life that you get to lead, like the highs and lows, and the lows that bring the highs of life, the joys, the frustrations, love, hate, all the emotions that like make life beautiful and worth living. Says like this is what he sacrificed. He sacrificed a wife, he sacrificed kids, he sacrificed friendship and old age and all of this for you. That's the bigger sacrifice,
right? And it actually, I mean, the way he portrays it hits on my personal thought about the atonement, because what is taught in my faith is
Christ.
Like
sweet nails going through his hand and stuff in the movies. You see that?
Yeah, you see that. You get a little bit of gore. There's a bit of blood and gore, and but we believe that Christ perfectly understands everybody, right? So he knows all of our trials and our issues, and that's what makes him the perfect mediator between us and God. And Scorsese, I think, hits on sort of what I envision the atonement to have been in part, was this supernatural and mystical ability that Christ had to experience everybody's life. I mean, that's just a personal thing that I have. And so to see Scorsese hit on that, but just for Jesus, the life he could have had, was incredibly poignant to me. And like you say, that is Jesus's sacrifice, I think, in one aspect.
And also, that's sort of the beauty of like all of Scorsese's work. And I think what is so interesting, what's so interesting about his work in general, because he's often dealing with like gangsters and criminals and these dark people. And I think what's religious about his dealings with them is that he shows you the temptation of being bad. He shows you, he like Wolf of Wall Street to me is such a brilliant movie because in Wolf of Wall Street, it's like these are the monsters of the world. These are the people stealing your money and destroying everything.
Yeah.
Look how much fun it is. Like, don't you kind of want to be enjoying like Jordan Belfort's? Like, don't act like you don't see what's enjoyable about doing these drugs and having sex with all these different girls and riding these yachts through tornadoes and all of this. It's very seductive. It looks like tons of fun. But like, to be a truly good person, you have to be able to fight off this temptation. And I think that Scorsese's films really like present the temptation of like being a gangster, being a criminal. It's like to show you, like, it's weirdly empathetic with them. And then at the same time, the big criticism that movie got was that they don't get punished in the end. And I'm like, but that's kind of what's so fucked up about the world, is that these people don't get punished.
Yeah, not always, do they?
That's what makes it. That's what makes the movie. If they got punished at the end, you'd leave the theater like, at least they got in trouble.
Yeah,
you have to leave the theater angry that these people get away with it, and then look around the world and say like,
get away with it. They don't always in Martin Scorsese's films get away with it. He's not.
No, but in that
one they do. Yes,
that's why I think that movie is really the movie of the decade.
Sure. Yeah, because that's what we witness now almost every day.
Mm-hmm. Just like Mnuchin saying, like, we're not going to tell you who we gave $500 billion to.
I mean, okay. It's really none of our business. So he shouldn't have to tell us at all. Tell us about your film, Mentally Al. What drew you to the project? I mean, I know that he's your favorite comedian, but maybe why? Why is he your favorite comedian? Maybe you can get into that a little bit.
I got tied into religion. He's very Jewish.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate Jew.
Still believing and practicing, or is he like culturally just very Jewish?
Well, I think what's interesting about Al is Al's almost like, Al reminds me a lot of like Socrates in a way.
Okay.
He's kind of like this frustrating guy who questions everything, and like I feel like Socrates was like a dirty old homeless guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
walking around frustrating people.
How many kids followed Al around? A lot.
One.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, just an interesting story about what it really means to chase your dreams. I think very interesting, because like, you think that being great will be enough, that if you're great, that can, like, if you're truly great.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who is truly great. I mean, in my opinion, he's my favorite comic. At least top 5, if not number 1. But
sure,
it's like, and I give him extra credit for being like my favorite comic that people haven't heard of, because it's just more fun now.
Yeah, like he's personal to you.
I like Al Lubel. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, your eclectic like jazz repertoire of
yeah. But so he's like, he's a genius, and I mean, we got interviews with incredible people in the doc, and they'll tell you that he's Andy Kindler, and it says he's his favorite comedian is Al. And it's funny, like, again, while he's not super well known, it's like whenever somebody had heard of him, every reaction was always like, I saw that guy like 10 years ago. It was the funniest that I'd ever seen in my life. So he's like an undeniable genius to me.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, but mainly just not for dumb people, is basically what I put it.
So do you feel like he's like an Andy Kaufman?
Well, it's funny, I said to Al once, I'm like, you're like Andy Kaufman meets Jerry Seinfeld.
Uh-huh.
Which he said, and apparently that combination leads to no success. So that's the other aspect of it. So Al, became a lawyer.
Yep.
Graduated, like, I don't know if he graduated top of his class, but he was like the president of his law school, graduated honors and everything, and left law to become a stand-up comedian. And there's a moment in the film towards the end where he meets up with like his best friend from law school. They just hang out and reminisce. And his friend's got like this big house and this family and all this stuff. And
Sure.
Al's like sleeping on people's couches and
Yeah.
struggling to get by. But like, there's this admiration and this love that his friend has for him. And it really like, it's weird because like, Al definitely, I feel, couldn't have been happy being a lawyer. He needed to be what he became.
Yeah.
But it's I think the very struggle, it's the very question we have to ask ourselves. It's the very risk we all take when we make that decision to become a filmmaker, a comedian, an actor, a creative, and throw caution to the wind and become this very pursue this very daring dream, versus going the route where it's like, building blocks to
the sellout.
Look at you. You're sitting in front of all your
sellout route.
Trying to become a comedian yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, so far, Al and I have followed the exact same path.
Fake lawyer, fake comedian.
Yeah.
So, I think on one level, it's about what it means to chase your dreams. On another level, it's a character study of this incredibly unique guy who has all these, who's really like, he doesn't have an drinking problem. He doesn't have a drug problem. Mm-hmm. Like he's only got like a neurosis problem. That's been like the thing in his way. And it's like this examination of this guy who the only thing stopping him is himself.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's also just kind of an intimate look at what it is to be a career road comic who's not Jerry Seinfeld, who's not Joe Rogan, like just what it looks like to live life on the road in hotels, playing one night to like a packed house at Atlantic City Amphitheater, to the next day performing for 5 people in the back of a restaurant.
Right.
So it's like you can like the film from the aspect of like this character study. You like it from the question of what does success mean and what does it look like to pursue your dreams, and what's the other side of it, the not so glamorous side. And then there's also just like the what's it like to be a comic. So you have all those, and it's a journey film. It's basically is a road trip movie in a weird way. It's following him from the couch he's living on in LA to a bunch of gigs in Atlantic City, to visiting his mother in Florida, to staying with his old law school friend in Tampa, and then catching up with him a year later.
Got it. So do you explore, there's often talk, at least within the stand-up community, about stand-up being the last true meritocracy out there. Do you explore that? Or no, you don't agree? You don't think so?
I mean,
I feel like I have heard this.
I think insofar as anything is, it's like, look, there are definitely things that can help you get further faster.
Sure.
And then at the end of the day, you've used all your advantages to get up in the main room at the Comedy Store, but then you got to make people laugh. So it's a meritocracy in that sense. But like also at the same token, it's like you can use all your advantages to get the money to make a movie. You could like skip, Michael Eisner's son, like his first film was like this $100 million adventure called Sahara, where I think that was his movie. And it was a huge flop and nobody liked it. It was bad.
With Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. Either that one or the King of Persia. Maybe it was that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. It was one of those two. Either way, it was a huge flop. It was like a $100 million disaster. Yeah. It's like, great, you could be the kid of the guy who runs Disney, but once you get your chance, if you don't. But I'm not getting $100 million to make anything.
Well, not out the gate.
And I'm not getting put up on stage at the Comedy Store.
Right. Right.
So at the end of the day, it's like, but maybe I don't deserve either of those things either.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying as far as, there are breaks that you can get. There are people that you can know or advantages you can use to get to certain spots quicker. But I think the way I've heard meritocracy used with stand-up is if you're not funny, you won't be invited back to the show. You won't be selling out theaters if you don't have it,
I don't know. I can think of some people. May have been canceled. May have been canceled today.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But hey, here's the beauty of stand-up. The beauty of stand-up is, you don't need money to do stand-up.
Right.
All you need is a voice.
Yeah.
All you need is, and I've even seen people who can't talk that bring someone with them to talk for them.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily need that.
You need a way to communicate original thought. That's all you need.
To communicate original thought. And if you're funny, something can happen for you.
Right.
If you're, you'll get further faster being funny or a hot girl.
Terrible. How dare you say that? Or being famous. You could be famous in some other
you know
aspect.
What I say that at the same time. I'll say that a very interesting thing I found is that so many of my favorite comics at our level on the scene, a little bit ahead of us, a little bit behind. Well,
yeah.
Me. I don't want.
Way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. A little ahead of you. We get
a lot of them. A lot of them are females. I'd say the interesting thing is if I see a girl or a guy get up on stage, the girl is more likely to be funny. And I think a big part of that is not that I think. Trust me, I don't think women are funnier than men. But I don't necessarily think men are funnier than women either. But I think that if you're a girl who's getting up on stage to do stand-up, I think that the nature of society has put you in a place where you probably believe in yourself a lot more for a very specific reason to give yourself the courage to do that than some guy who believes himself for no reason. He's just a guy who's fearless and he's getting up on stage because the world
because he had a couple drinks and his friends dared him to.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, there's a self-selection bias when it comes to the female comedians, which is good. I think it's great.
I don't know if this is true, but I feel like I was booking more girls on Gripe Juice when I was doing my brunch show than I was guys. I don't know if that's the case, but
we'll have to examine the data.
I was always just booking people to book people I thought were funny. I wasn't even thinking about that. I think it's just
I think that's a better way to think about shows as opposed to I have a lineup. I need one woman or I need one black guy or whatever it is. So how do you explore Al's Judaism in the film as well, or is that just who he is?
He's pretty. You're
not following him to temple then or anything, huh?
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think Al. I don't want to speak for him, but I believe Al's probably somewhere in the vein of agnostic like me.
Mm-hmm.
Religion isn't a dominant factor in his life or his thinking. I think he very much is Jewish. I think. I've often wondered certain things about I wonder about the self-selection. There's this idea of the neurotic Jew. And generally speaking, lots of my Jewish friends, myself included, Al included, are Jewish and neurotic.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's because you have so many rules to follow.
Well, I've always wondered if it has to do with the fact that the neurotic Jews were the ones during the Holocaust who were I don't know about this guy. Let me get out of here.
You're going more Darwinist. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, they survived.
Nothing to worry about. We're all gonna be fine.
The New Jersey Jews.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm staying right here.
They gotta drag me out in a pine box.
For example, myself, the day Trump got elected, I called my parents and I was like, I'm moving to New Zealand. And they were like, don't be ridiculous, Josh. But had I moved to New Zealand, I would be laughing all the way to the open disease-free bank right now.
I mean,
so my neuroticism was self-preservational, but I wasn't neurotic enough because I didn't do it.
I see. Well, you've also feigned the same threat again So we'll see what 2021 brings if it's a New Zealander Josh Edelman.
Yeah, I mean,
Will you move if Donald Trump wins? Will you move to New Zealand? Are you going to pledge right now to leave all of us alone?
I feel like it's going to be hard. I keep telling my parents, it's like, I tell my parents, I'd rather try to get back into the country when Joe Biden wins.
Sure, then try to leave
the country after Trump wins.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be about the same, honestly, either way.
What do you mean?
I mean, I think it'll be just as easy to leave as it would be to come back.
We'll see, because I think that, I don't know. There's a part of me that also like feels sort of that like right after the election happens, that there's going to be like just a bunch of shoes that drop.
Yeah, perhaps so. I mean, depending on who wins.
I feel
certainly,
like,
yeah,
I'm very interested to see what happens with U.S. currency going forward. I think it might be like November 3rd this year is election day.
I think so.
Yeah, November 4th, the dollar crashes.
No, I don't know. I just don't think. Yeah,
we printed so much fucking money. We're in so much debt right now.
We are indeed.
It's crazy.
Right, but I do think it requires the mention that is not all Donald Trump's fault. Some, sure, but we would be in just as much debt under a Hillary Clinton as we would.
What's the term I use all the time? Counterfactual.
Yeah, right. It's a false or a unverifiable counterfactual.
Yeah. All I know is that we're fucked right now.
Well,
but
things happen.
But so another aspect of that, I think about, probably get myself in trouble if I don't phrase all of this stuff correctly.
Oh, good.
But I always have a joke that I think of Hollywood as like the NBA for Jews. It's like the popular cool business where our skill set developed over thousands of years of oppression has benefited us. Because like what is neurosis? Neurosis is fearing the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And writing, successful creations, successful writing is coming up with what's the worst thing that can happen. One of the things I learned in film school or something that like one of my writing professors used to preach is that film is chaos. What you're trying to do is trying to create chaos. So what you're trying to do is come up with like worst case scenarios that cause problems that need to be solved, and then like build on that.
Yeah.
So being neurotic, it's like I see Trump winning and I'm like, we're going to be in a pandemic, the dollar's going to collapse, and there's going to be a race war. I
better go to New Zealand.
I better get to New Zealand quick. That place seems like the place to go. There's a like seeing the fabric of worst case scenarios. And that's why, like, I think when you think of like who people's most admired sort of writers are in Hollywood, not always the case. And, personal failures aside, but people like Woody Allen or Charlie Kaufman, like they're like the most neurotic seeming people. Larry David, they're the most neurotic seeming people in the world because they're like frustrated by things, they fear things. They're constantly like watching, like if I do this, it can like tumble into this effect.
The social chess.
That is dramaturgy to me. So I think so I like to joke that it's the NBA, but it's not like, other people aren't neurotic. I always find it funny.
Yeah.
I always find it funny that like all of my non-Jewish friends are like the cheapest fucking people I know. But like I don't want to spend money on one thing. Like, you're Jewing this, you're Jew. I'm like, fuck you.
I can say from personal experience, the reason that those jokes are made is for that reaction you gave just barely.
If I had a nickel,
Yeah.
if I had a nickel
Yeah, tell
Every
us.
cheap Jew joke I heard
Yeah.
in an open mic.
You wouldn't be
I
a
would
Jew
try
anymore.
to keep going to those mics
Yeah,
to hear more cheap Jew jokes so I can continue collecting nickels.
of course.
So try to get as many nickels as I could.
Yeah. Oh my
but,
gosh. So in when you said in film school, one of your professors told you that, film is chaos. How did you watch Uncut Gems?
Loved it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you
Softies.
liked it. You what?
The Softy brothers, I believe they're Jewish. At
I
least that movie was extremely Jewish.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, my follow-up to how well you liked the film was, how did you feel about the way Jews were portrayed in the film?
Accurately. I mean, I lived in New York.
Yeah.
I would go through those diamond districts all the time. A lot of those people were literal diamond district
People.
salespeople, and
Yeah.
Sandler really captured that character great. And
Yeah.
and talking about film is chaos. God, was that movie chaos?
Yeah.
Like from the moment that movie started, it didn't let you breathe.
No.
It didn't give you a moment to catch your breath.
No.
And it kind of gave you his adrenaline rush. The whole time.
Yeah. I mean,
you were just trapped inside of his despair for like
and anxiety.
20 minutes.
I mean, so anxious about everything.
Really made you feel it, which was I really loved. It was one of my favorite movies last year.
Yeah, fantastic film. So how has your belief structure, if at all, changed over quarantine?
I never really thought about. Maybe I really think there's no God now.
You're just convinced humanity is terrible.
Actually, wait, no. Well, there are moments where I'm like, whoa, oh, man, all this Mayan calendar shit's really, really coming true.
Well, it's off. I mean, they're off by like 50 years at this point.
No, but then there's like another article. It's like, it's actually supposed to be next week.
Oh, jeez. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I look at Donald Trump and I do think you are like a biblical villain. I do feel like I'm living in like the cyberpunk chapter of the Bible.
Yeah. It is very interesting. And for me as a religious person, it is, you and I have talked about his photo shoot and how frustrating that was. I think you and I are both upset about it, but perhaps for different reasons, a little bit slightly. I was more upset that he was even taking a picture feigning religion at all.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone the forceful removal of the protesters to do so.
It's funny, I was just thinking like this is how I was just saying the thing about this being the cyberpunk chapter of the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if we were living in biblical times, with like Jesus and stuff, we'd be like, ugh, these modern days, these crazy modern, never thought things would ever get to this, did we?
Sure. Well, in
living
defense,
in stone huts. We make them out of stone now.
Come on.
Rarely do saber-toothed tigers eat anyone anymore. Never thought we'd get past the saber-tooth epidemic.
Well, they did. The New Testament prophets did believe that the second coming would be very soon.
Would be what?
Would be very soon. They thought it was going to be within their time, or at least very shortly after.
The second. Wait, okay, so you were telling me, we need to get back to this. I need to learn about the resurrection.
Okay.
Because I feel like that nobody fucking talks about.
Well, and I think to be fair, no one really knows, mechanically, pragmatically how it works. I don't think bodies are going to raise up out of the ground. I think believing in God being an all-powerful being, the creator, I don't see any reason that he would be raising corpses out of the ground.
You showed up more like Benjamin Button, like right when he got
old?
to that, right when he got to that like age of being hot and like coming through the smoke.
Yeah,
right when he's the same age as Kate Blanchett. It's like we could fuck now.
Yeah, it'll be down. It'll be down around. Yes, exactly. I
He
envision
was wearing like
people.
Jesus was like wearing a trench coat and he had like a sexy haircut and
It just came out. Yeah, like a
get
light
a whole new
Neo.
look.
Yeah, I envision people coming down from the heavens in physical form, resurrected. So
So it was like an angel. It wasn't a pet cemetery. Like it wasn't like a hand out of the ground.
right. Yeah, no, that's not what I envision.
Ominous violin music playing as Jesus. I want to make. Would it be blasphemous if I made a
Holy
movie?
zombies.
If
Yeah.
I made a movie about the second coming, but Jesus is like a zombie.
I mean, I don't know.
What if I told the story exactly like it happens in the Bible, but I give him like this undead zombie like makeup job, and like it is like a hand out of the ground type thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like and he's got like weird like dead person leprosy or like
yeah, where he's flaking
things keep
apart.
falling like that movie My Boyfriend's Back, if you ever saw that.
I did not, but I have a picture in my mind. I don't think blasphemous would be quite the right word. Perhaps just a little disrespectful, but that's fine. You could make that movie
2 days after the last temptation of Christ.
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting to tell that story with the apocalypse, with the what's the word I'm looking for? The rapture. Tell that story for the rapture, or tell the rapture in that way.
What? Yeah. Explain some of the stuff to me. Okay, so wait, what did he do in
some of this Christian stuff?
He hung out with Mary. He told her like, yeah.
So
you still around?
Yeah, the Bible, the New Testament actually doesn't talk about what he did over the 3 days that he was gone from the tomb and not in Jerusalem. So he appears to Mary.
He needed to be put down.
He what?
He's murdering people and needed to be put down like a zombie psycho.
Like a zombie killer. You stop that right now. We believe that so this is where the Book of Mormon comes in for my faith. We have a record written by, claimed to have been written by prophets in the Americas who see Christ. Christ comes and visits here. He does that after the 3 days. So during the 3 days, we get during the 3 days in Mormon theology from a Latter-day prophet who has a vision about Christ being in heaven and organizing essentially missionary work from 2 areas. One area that we call Spirit Paradise, where he organized missionaries to then go to what we call Spirit Prison to teach those who had not heard of the gospel, the gospel.
You go get a bunch of Japanese people killed.
Not killed. No, not killed. They're already dead. You're teaching the already deceased. And then he comes back to Mary. Mary's the first person that he sees in the garden. She then goes, tells the apostles that she's just seen Jesus. They don't believe her, obviously, because she's a woman. And they run to the tomb, Peter, James, and John.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
How is that not fair?
They believed Jesus's mom when she said she hadn't fucked anyone.
They weren't there. It was not the same men.
So they believe her. I think maybe they didn't believe Mary.
And it wasn't Mary that they believed. It was Joseph. Dirty. Joseph is who they believed.
Oh.
Anyhow, so the apostles.
Because why would Joseph not admit to getting laid?
I mean, come on. It was a different time. Josh, was a different time.
You smashed Mary, Joe?
No,
I didn't, bro.
I didn't.
Dude,
it wasn't. That's not mine. If I smashed
Mary, I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut about it. So she must.
Terrible.
must
just
be telling
terrible.
The truth.
Cole Alexander, I don't think I've ever talked about him on this podcast, but he has one of the most blasphemous and hilarious jokes about the Immaculate Conception that I've ever heard. I'm going to have him on, and he can tell it because I will be struck.
You gotta paraphrase. I probably heard it, but
I will be struck by lightning. Well, he says, so Immaculate Conception, like people had to believe that story. So Mary must have been ugly, because it would be more believable that she be, impregnated by some mysterious force than Joseph having sex with her. They were more she was so ugly that they would not believe Joseph had sex with her.
See, I see Joseph as kind of like,
Terrible.
I see Joseph as more like this guy who just will believe anything. Like she's just slutting around, and
Unbelievable.
Joseph refuses to believe it.
Yeah.
She's perfect. She
Yeah.
wouldn't lie. She wouldn't lie to me.
The
But,
most
the writing,
gullible.
they're like, Joe, man, I'm Mary.
He's the
She's like,
30-year-old.
No, she's saving herself. She's telling me that she's saving herself for when we're married.
Yeah.
She's pure. Meanwhile,
I mean, we need to believe women, Josh.
All over town.
The real truth is Joseph was the most progressive man in history. That's the real truth. He believed women, and I think it's about time. I think it's about time you did too.
But they didn't believe Mary Magdalene.
Well, again, Joseph was dead by that point, and it wasn't the same people. These were apostles, and anyhow. So they go. Jesus then visits them, and then he tells Peter that he has other sheep that are not of this fold, and he comes to the Americas and visits the people on this continent, and then he's caught back up into heaven, where he currently resides, wherever heaven is.
What year?
What do you mean, what year? 33, 34 AD, whatever?
So, but like in the book, is it indigenous people in the Americas, or were they white?
No, they were indigenous people. Well, now that's an interesting question. There are some verses in the Book of Mormon that talk. So first of all, we believe that the Book of Mormon covers a history of people that were that immigrated from Jerusalem to the Americas. So there were, if you can call people in Jerusalem white, they were white as far as that's concerned when they immigrated to the Americas, and then worked to also populate this land. So
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so now the rapture. Now what's the deal with that? Because that's like a book about what's gonna happen. Because
so Revelation is the book. The book of Revelation is the book that discusses the end of times.
That's the Trump book.
Sure, that's the Trump book. That's the book. Yeah, you cannot wait for. Yeah, this is where you get all the like all of the the three-headed beast and the 666. All this comes from the book of Revelation.
Because I believe that there are a lot of apocalypse Trump voters. There's a lot of like he's gonna bring this is the rapture guy right here.
Maybe so. The rapture is supposed to be a glorious moment where the righteous are caught up and the wicked are left. That is technically the rapture.
So we're not like viciously killed in hell. Just like the good people just like fly up into the sky.
Yeah, they're caught up however that's done. Yeah. Yes, whoever's left on the earth, they are caught up. Then Satan is allowed to reign on this earth because all the righteous are gone. He's allowed to reign for a time.
I wonder if the rapture, I wonder if the whole caught up thing, I wonder if it's just Twitter. Like who's been left behind? Whoever Twitter decided was left behind. If you didn't get destroyed by Twitter, you were the righteous one. If Twitter didn't get you, you weren't raptured.
So speaking of Twitter and who is gone on after Twitter, look at the swag I'm supporting. Can you tell?
Gryffindor.
What's that from?
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yeah, baby. You saw her recent scandal on Twitter, I suppose.
No comment.
Yeah, we're just gonna move right on from that. It only tied into the Twitter stuff.
I did have a good joke that I riffed one day about that.
About JK?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was like
Was it she should sign all of her tweets JK?
No, it was something about It was a Harry Potter joke that I'd come up with about the trans stuff, but I can't remember it.
Maybe something like, for a person who made up an entire world based on magic, you can't believe in science, something like that.
No, I think I wrote a draft. So I'll have to look back at my.
We're just going to sit here and wait until you think of it.
Here, keep talking. I'll look at my notes to see if I wrote it down.
Yeah, what I want to know, Josh, is how will you react after you die and you realize I've been correct this entire time, and God is there waiting to welcome you with open arms? What are the first words you say to him?
It was. I just read it. It wasn't good. Go on. So repeat that question.
So what happens? What I want to know is what happens when you die and you realize that I've been right this entire time. What are your first words?
Well, that was the only joke I liked from the Louis special, from the new Louis special.
Remind me.
He's like, ugh, imagine dying and finding out religion is real. That'd be the worst. It's like, ugh, he's got the beard and everything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You thought about that, though?
Well,
what if it is real?
That's Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Pascal's wager is dumb because, like, at Pascal's wager, there was, like, Christianity or nothing.
Well,
as far as the world was concerned.
Yeah, he had a pretty limited understanding. But I mean, you can just broaden it out. Either religion's real or it's not. So therefore, what do you do?
Well, here's how I see it. Okay,
yeah. Go.
The way I see it is, I believe that there's true like morality, and I go. That comes from God. I do my best to be a moral person.
Yeah.
And if just being a moral person isn't enough to prevent me from condemnation, if the truth of it is that you have to choose to believe this absurd thing in order, like, then I guess that's that. Then everything sucks and bullshit anyway.
Then I don't want to be a part of your club.
Well, I have a joke. I say like if you have to be Christian to get into heaven, that means heaven's full of nothing but a bunch of Christians. And I don't really like Christians that much. So the idea of spending eternity with nothing but them sounds like my own personal hell.
Right. Right.
So it's like, so there's my logical fallacy to any religion. If being like a blow yourself up terror, I'm not saying all Muslims are this.
Oh boy.
But if in order to get into Muslim heaven, you have to prove yourself so dedicated, all that you do what you want to spend time with a bunch of people that blew themselves up. And I'm saying, by no means, I'm saying like the most extreme, the most extreme Jews to me, like the Orthodox,
the Hasidic,
This is like, if you have to, if the only way for me to get into heaven is
to not take 100 steps,
that means I have to spend the rest of my life with a bunch of Hasids, send me to fucking hell.
But hell doesn't exist for you.
So what's it matter whether or not I believe in God?
Well,
if I don't even have the punishment of hell. I don't not. I mean, I could tell you what I kind of believe in.
Yeah. What is that?
I just think we're if I had to answer, if you're like, what do you think is the most logical reality you can come up with for what we are? And I think that we are like a microbe on a cell that is planet Earth, and we're either killing it or keeping it alive. And planet Earth is just a cell amongst all the other planets, which are nothing but just cells inside of something much larger that we couldn't even conceptualize, in the same fashion as a red blood cell in our body couldn't conceptualize us on the outside of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I think that there's logic within that to do things to kind of create a better world and try and keep this earth alive. And that is our job by virtue of the nature of like this construct. And that I think that like, people say that humans are cancer. I think that almost more like the red blood cells and white blood cells and things like that. It's like there's cancerous humans and there's non-cancerous humans, and there's like it's like a psychological thing more than anything having to do with anything physical, and that we're in this weird existential war to simply keep the earth alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think happens to us when we die under that model? I mean, do we just
unknowable?
Yeah.
Probably just
nothing. Just
yeah, probably just nothing.
Interesting. All right.
I mean, like on one sense that's scary, on another sense,
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I've talked to some, I've talked to, Michael Virgilio, who is atheist and has the same thought, there's nothing. Brian Matthews is another one. There's nothing.
That's just me answering like what I could come up with as my most logical answer for what the meaning of all of this is.
Yeah.
Which like you start to think about it and you'll get depressed because it's just so absurd to even try to conceptualize.
Well, what I'm saying though is for Brian, for Michael, I think for a lot of people out there who are atheist or even agnostic and believe there's nothing afterward, it's not as depressing as I find it for them, because they believe, no, you just got to make this life, since it's all you're going to be conscious of, you have to make this life count. So, and they believe, Michael answered this exact question, which was, well, I'm good because it's better and I feel better, and everyone's happier when we are good. So you don't need necessarily God telling you what is right and wrong. You just do what is best for yourself and those around you.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, again, it's like I don't need religion to give me my morality. I think that, again, I want to say that like that's my most logical philosophy. There's still a less than 1% chance I'm right.
Right. Sure.
That's correct.
Sure.
And I think by that means, again, it's so absurd that we exist at all. Just it's the level of trying to reason why it is that any of this even is just so absurd that it's just like it's pointless to try and figure it out.
Well, unless I agree with you. I think it is absurd to think random chance created us this way. But if you believe in a creator or a God or a force, that there's intrinsic value to human beings.
That just feels like an answer we came up with when the best thing we can invent was the wheel.
No, I don't think so. I think there's more ingrained. There's something natural about that answer. There is something innate in us that believes in that answer. And I don't think it's illogical hope. I don't think it's delusion.
It's pre-science.
Even what does that even mean, pre-science? You think we can prove there's no God?
You want to know a weird movie that I think has a weird movie to think has a lot of actual deep philosophy in it, even though it's a much maligned,
Real Genius.
No, well, actually, it's an interesting movie, but Prometheus: Alien Covenant.
Oh, I've never even heard of this.
You never heard of these movies? They're blockbusters that came out in the past couple of years. Ridley Scott movies. They're technically prequels to Alien.
Okay.
But basically, it's like there are these creators who created humans, then humans create artificial intelligence robots, and then the artificial intelligence creates the aliens. And it's like this line of like creating a further evolved thing from yourself. I think it's an interesting concept that almost like God may have been a less evolved version of humans that created us in the same way that we may create
the next great
further
things or
evolved.
robots or
Like, 'cause, like,
something.
if we create artificial intelligence, are we not the god of artificial intelligence? Are we not the creator
Yeah, I
of
see what you're saying.
like, are we not its god? Like, what is God other than
Right.
our creator?
Right.
Uh,
Interesting. Yeah.
so it's I think there's a lot of brilliant underappreciated philosophical concepts in those movies, which are also just a wild ride and have cool visual effects and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people don't like those movies, but I think they're really interesting.
Well, we're going to have to wrap up here, but I want to give you a chance to ask me. This season, I'm doing something called segment called "What's the Deal with Mormons," where I give the guest an opportunity to ask whatever they want about my beliefs, either personally
I wish
or
I
just
knew this ahead of time.
altruistically. I should have sent you this in advance, but you know
When you
how
had me on as
organized
your
I
first
am.
3-time guest, because come on, Seth. I'm just saying. Who
I mean,
compares? Who gives you guesting like this?
I know this is your prime time. Your prime time, baby. And I'm happy to have you back for a third time. And you can pepper me with all the Mormon questions you have. I just didn't know if there was something on your mind now that you wanted to ask or not.
Is there anything I'm curious about Mormonism? I guess I'm just curious, and like in all honesty, Seth,
Yeah. Oh boy.
how much do you truly believe it in your heart?
I mean, 100%. What do you mean though by that question? Like
you're like, it's John Smith,
Joseph Smith. Yeah.
Joe Smith.
Yeah.
He went in his room and God talked to him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No, I do. I believe that.
Why?
First of all, God did not go in his room, but
Yeah.
the point is well taken. Yes, I do believe that Joseph Smith had a vision, and that called him to be the prophet of the restoration.
And this is also, in large part because you were born into that, and you believe in your heart that you're the center of the universe, so that you were born into the right thing to learn, so that the thing that you learned is the correct thing because you're on your narrative.
Right.
I tweeted this thing the other day, which I thought was one of the best tweets I ever tweeted. I think it only got like 4 likes or something. But I said that religion is just childhood trauma.
I did see that tweet, and I wanted to say something like, it's also adult trauma. I mean, religion, I think, is... there are good things about it and there are bad things about it. I'm not going to say that, all religion is excellent. I think there are, but I also want to separate religion from the gospel of Jesus Christ, which I believe wholeheartedly.
But I think in large part, and I'm being purely speculative here. I don't know what the actual studies show for this, but like if you're molested as a child, you grow up and like you're messed up because you've created, there's these fears that you probably feel because your childhood trust was breached by this awful thing that happened to you.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of the rest of your life trying to rectify the injustice that was served to you. And I think about like even growing up Jewish, like I felt like a lot of religion, a lot of learning Judaism was in part, and probably less so Judaism than many other religions, but teaching me like the fear of God,
Sure.
And especially when you're a child who knows nothing and you're like presented with this idea of this all-powerful thing is going to damn you to hell, like that's traumatizing. Like I remember being a kid flipping through channels at my grandpa's house when I was like staying over there one night, and I had HBO in my room, and I was flipping through channels, and I just saw a split second of Chucky like running at someone with a knife.
Yeah.
And gave me nightmares for months.
Yeah.
Just from flipping through channels.
Yeah.
And it's like that moment of seeing Chucky come at come at me with the knife and the TV,
Yeah.
that was God. That was what we teach children God is. So for their whole life, there's this Chucky doll coming at them with a knife if they don't go to church.
Right.
Well,
do you feel like
abstinence?
Do you feel like you've been hoodwinked by religion?
No, but I'm just saying that I mean, again, I have a complicated relationship with Judaism. I definitely I practice some of the holidays. I fast on Yom Kippur. I usually do a Passover Seder.
Yeah.
I end up at synagogue a number of times a year.
Yeah.
Don't go religiously. But
no judgment. Yeah.
But I definitely recognize, again, I think, I was making fun of you. I think that there is a sort of narcissism to the random thing I was taught as a kid is the right thing.
Sure.
Like there is a almost a sociopathy to like the fact that like the order of the universe is designed as a system for my experience to make sure that I learned the right thing to follow, and every other person who learns something different is a test.
To lead me astray. I definitely understand what you're saying. I think that's partially true, right? But my personal thought on God is that I don't think God. Okay, so take someone who, first of all, I think God is going to take everybody who is honestly doing their best to be good people, regardless if they're Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, like all of it, whatever it is, he's going to take all of the good ones, and or the atheist or the agnostic that's just trying to be a good person. And they will receive God, they will receive some of God's glory for sure. But I do think it'll be in Mormon heaven. That's where I think everyone's going to be. I've often wondered if heaven is, if like Jews get Jewish heaven, Catholics get Catholic heaven, Hindus get Hindu heaven, I wonder if, and I suppose there's some scientific evidence for everyone experiencing what they want.
I very much appreciate the Buddhist philosophy of to exist is to suffer. And it's a thing that I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have had a minimal amount of suffering in my life, but still incalculable suffering.
Sure. Well, sure. But I think that's why we have, for me, that's why we have religion. And it's sad to me. I have friends who were brought up in the Mormon faith who have the exact same outlook on God as a child that you just expressed, that God is this punisher waiting for us to mess up. And
Chucky, come in.
Yeah. And in my mind, that is not an accurate portrayal of any God, let alone the God that I believe in. And so I do feel badly for people who are traumatized by religion and a God that's taught, that I think is taught incorrectly. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to plug, Josh?
Mentally Al documentary. It is coming out soon.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I can't wait till I know the actual date. But it will be available to you soon.
Beautiful. That's when we're going to have you on the third time. When you have a date, we'll have you on. You can announce the date.
Great.
It'll feel like closure.
I have my podcast, Quarantine.
Fantastic podcast.
It's been on it 3 times.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Those episodes are all fantastic.
Very fun.
To listen to that, it's like this but better. No, actually I was just thinking to myself about how good I think this podcast is. I don't know how it is with the other guests, but whenever I'm on it, it's like,
amazing.
This was a really good one.
Yeah.
And
but
check out Quarantine. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram at the Edelmeister, TheEdelmeister. No underscores or spaces or anything.
Beautiful. Same Twitter handle, right?
Same Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Instagram
Excellent.
handle. And yeah, hopefully
we can meet up in person.
The world opens up within the next 5 months.
Yeah, before we all have to go out and vote.
I would say 5 months is the optimistic, realistic.
Yeah.
The most realistic, optimistic.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, 5 months.
5 months.
That's Josh's Mayan prediction here.
I think 5 months is the opportunity for us to have like a genuine treatment or an early vaccine.
Yeah. So, interesting. All right. Well, we're going to hold you to it.
I mean, that's me being optimistic. Thank you so much.
That's a rare thing. That's a rare thing, everybody. Josh, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much. And we're going to set up a third date, hopefully very soon when you know when this Mentally Ill is coming out. Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
Later, buddy.